Do you know what the ultimate goal is for all 60 plus junglers? Due to the vast number of choices and strategies in any given meta, it can be quite overwhelming even for experienced players. And so I've created these videos for junglers and laners to give you a quick overview of what you can expect from the jungler you're facing or playing. And the first champion we will begin with shall be Amumu. This is a tankier champion that utilizes an area of effect crowd control to initiate fights, seeking to engage and lock down enemies from his team with his hugely big ultimate as well as the Bandage Toss Q ability. Bel'Veth aims to control, evolve, and consume enemies for more stacks on her passive that allows her to do more damage as the game goes on. She thrives in sustained teamfights with insane mobility, CC, and damage resistance, and empowers her teamfighting with resets. Brand focuses on fast clearing and spreading area of effect damage and passive blaze stacks in teamfights, essentially excelling at burning down multiple enemies simultaneously or picking them off with damage over time. Briar's gameplay centralizes around her Berserk form on the W that allows her to heal and do huge amounts of damage. This gives her strong dual potential, emphasis on diving people, tanking and sustaining, as well as applying enough damage to be an assassin. Oh, and she has a global ultimate that allows her to fly at you, so listen out for the sound warning. Diana is an AP damage doer who dives and combines burst damage with area of effect crowd control, aiming to quickly eliminate key targets in skirmishes and teamfights. She's a fast farmer, a little weak early, but scales like a beast. Echo is an assassin with a huge safety net in his ultimate that allows him to reposition and heal. He also has huge CC for an assassin and use spells in quick flow to take out targets, skirmish, and dive, and is really powerful at stealing objectives with his E, Q, and passive. Be wary. Elise shifts between ranged mage and melee assassin modes, focusing on single target burst and catch potential with her cocoon and human form. Looks to be hyper-aggressive early with a lot of tower dives. Evelyn uses stealth to ambush isolated targets, focusing on surprising burst assassination while remaining unseen due to the camouflage, and if that wasn't enough, also has hard CC spell that can slow at the same time. Fiddlesticks specializes in ambushes with his ultimate and fears. He aims to disrupt and terrify enemies in teamfights and skirmishes while not looking to do too much until you hit the mid and the late game. He is potent once he begins to snowball. Garen is not really a jungler but can be. He is a durable fighter who excels in dealing sustained damage with his spin and executing low health targets with his ultimate, doing all of this while yelling Demacia. Gragas uses his barrel throws and body slams to disrupt, displace, or burst enemies down. His ultimate also knocks people around, creating opportunities with his explosive and intoxicating kit. Graves offers a bursty, close-range fighting style with a shotgun, even though he's ranged. He excels in skirmishes, map control farming, dealing heavy area of effect damage, auto attacks, and basically everything a jungler could look for. Gwen is a scaling jungler who only really comes online at 2 items and specializes in sustained magic damage, healing, and hypermobility, as well as tanking quite a lot with her W. She has to focus on hitting her ultimate and sticking to people later on, essentially looking to weave her way throughout fights while not dying. Hecarim charges into fights with high mobility and crowd control, a lot of damage, a lot of sustain, seeks to initiate and disrupt enemy lines with a speed and devastating damage. Ivern focuses on supporting allies with shields, roots, bushes. He can also summon a spirit called Daisy, who offers insane disruption, peel, and presence within fights. This is in conjunction with his jungle flow control and unique clears. Jarvan IV excels at engaging and trapping enemies with his Flag and Drag or EQ combo, as well as the Crater ultimate. He provides utility, damage, and just about everything you could need. He is the total package as well. Jax is more of a top laner, but definitely really becomes a late game powerhouse even in the jungle, scaling with mixed damage output and counter-strike ability for insane engage, superior dueling, and obviously high mobility. Karthus or Karthus aims to dominate with a fast clear, early aggression when needed, and a global presence later on with his ultimate. Very few champions have the amount of presence and scaling that this champion can do when piloted correctly. Kayn chooses to embrace the Shadow Assassin for burst mobility or Darken form for sustained fighter disruption. He can adapt his role mid-game based upon his evolution. This obviously can happen in the early game as well, but he requires the utmost balanced jungling of farming to scale and ganking to get orbs for these forms. Kha'Zix is a Void Assassin who plays around with Isolation in general to enhance his single target damage and amplified abilities. The Isolation deals with one-on-one fights, and it allows him to have the most dynamic in and out assassin teamfighting that no other champion has either. Kindred hunts targets for marks to enhance abilities, focusing on kiting as marksmen do, while allowing themselves to be even more aggressive than other junglers due to multiple dashes and an invincibility ultimate. Lee Sin is the poster boy for all junglers, the quintessential statue of what jungling means, with high map mobility and scaling, impactful kicks to control teamfights, focusing on in and out fighting and protecting allies while also serving up an assassin dish level damage. Lilia combines dreamy magic with swift movements to lull enemies to sleep on her ultimate, but has huge sweet spot and true damage with AoE effects, crowd control, and unheralded mobility that allows her to weave in and out of fights unlike anybody else. Maokai is a tank who emphasizes on map control, getting lanes ahead, and dominating teamfight engages. He uses his saplings and nature-themed abilities to lock down areas and tank for the team, essentially just being an unkillable monster tree. When Mordekaiser is used in the jungle, he's very much a farmer looking to become an AP bruiser, get really strong, take you into another dimension with his ultimate. If you're strong, he gets stronger, and with a giant shield, some CC, a huge amount of damage, he scales with HP and AP in a violent way. Morgana specializes in catch potential, a bit more supportive style jungling and area denial with her dark binding and her ultimate. She provides high utility, shields, damage over time, and obviously that said crowd control. Dr. Mundo is a tank fighter who likes to regenerate health rapidly with his ultimate and aims to soak up as much damage as possible while continuously harassing enemies with his cleaver throws that of course do current HP and slow people. Nidalee, like Elise, can form swap between a ranged and a melee component. She is like Graves in that she controls all aspects of jungling as well as farming. She excels at high mobility and early game skirmishes to snowball games out of control. Nocturne utilizes a more passive farming approach, even though he's a very strong duelist, in order to get to his ultimate and use it by bringing down the shadows upon the map. This semi-global presence allows him to quickly take down any chosen targets, excels in single target focus, as well as being very difficult to peel due to his spell shield blocking abilities. Nuno and Willem bring utility whilst also having a long range engage, supportive kit with slows, knockups, movement speed and enhanced attack speed for allies, and also enough sustain on that Q to tank damage in a fight. Along with the Q that can be used on monsters for true damage at higher than smite levels, almost nothing can steal away an objective from this champion. Olaf goes through periods of being really strong and really weak in the jungle, but when he is strong, he is a fast farmer, he will run you down, he is extremely difficult to deal with. The chain slows on his axe throws, the Q plus his lifesteal as well as his true damage make him, along with his CC immunity, the ultimate run over jungler. Again, when strong. Pantheon utilizes his spear and shield to execute swift targeted assaults in the early game, looking to highly snowball games before he gets his semi-global ultimate and quickly takes games out of hand with burst damage, huge disruption, damage blocking spells, and all-around nuisance level jungling. Poppy specializes in disruption as a tank but also is very much a fighter and can displace enemies with ease. Her W quickly disrupts mobility from champions and her ultimate knocks people way far away in crucial teamfights. With her high damage, mobility, as well as disruption, she's the ultimate disengaged champion. Kiana is an AD assassin that utilizes her elemental power to use a variety of combat tactics, focusing on burst damage, using camouflage, hitting stuns, as well as an unparalleled ability to use the environment for her ultimate to lock enemies down against walls. Rammus rolls into battle to taunt and disrupt enemies, focusing on using his defensive tankiness for enemies to kill themselves, because when you hit him, you take damage. His taunt is cataclysmic for ADCs and immobile champions, and his launching ultimate allows him to engage even to the backest of back lines. Rek'Sai tunnels for unique map ability, focusing on surprise attacks, ganking angles, and knockup to control and damage enemies in the early game. Very few junglers have the amount of ganking angles she does, so ward appropriately, and when she gets her ultimate, she becomes a straight-up assassin. But a true goal is being a fighter that disrupts and snowballs quickly. Rell is a heavy engaged tank that has a huge amount of damage, shield breaking abilities, form swapping abilities, map mobility, and all-round engage and peel. There's nothing that this champion cannot do to help your win condition carry. Rengar, like Kha'Zix, is one of the best AD assassins in the game, hunts his prey with stealth and obviously Q savagery, excelling in a triple Q combo single target burst and using brushes for ambush attacks and insane teamfight mobility. Also has one of the most broken spells in the game with an empowered W that cleanses all things that might get him killed. Oh, and he also has hard CC. While Rumble is a more niche jungler, he controls battlefield by making sure that he can farm, get level 6, get a gold lead, and use the obscene amount of AP damage he brings forth to stack with his slow as well as his magic shred abilities, and also has a shield and movement speed booster. Sejuani, like Rell, is one of these great win condition focused peel engaged tanks. She is amazing with melee champions to have her E give hard stuns, She scales a lot with HP as well as AP, and not only that, has free slow resist and bonus ratios on her passive. Along with her Q, which provides map scaling and a knockup, she has every form of CC available to her. Shaco is one of those champions and assassins that relies on camouflage and cheap parlor tricks to get hugely fed and basically create psychosis for the enemy jungler. Weaving into your jungle to kill you, weaving into the lanes to kill the laners without being seen, his unique pathing and playstyle renders him absolutely difficult to deal with until it comes to teamfighting moments. And even then, he can thrive with a split push. Shyvana is also a form swapping champion between human and dragon, using fast farming, max HP damage, hybridized build paths, AD, tank as well as AP, and then focus on that farming and dragon secures to boost her stats and make her as strong as possible come the late game. Sion is also a top laner that can be used in the jungle, basically becoming an unkittable demon tank with disruption and peel, scales infinitely well with farm and has the best lane ganks in the game. Can also go AD for tower assassination, but that's not recommended for the best jungle play. Skarner is a fast farming, hugely stunning, tanky fast little scorpion guy that does percentage health damage, has a shield and a speed up, and a lockdown ultimate that forces anyone who he chooses to use it on to buy QSS. Sylas is a slow farming, hyper ganking, and snowballing champion that uses his huge sustain as well as gap close ability, and has of course ultimate stealing ability, to ensure that junglers are kept behind. Talia manipulates the battlefield with rock and stone, chucking huge wave clear, insane scaling, strong balanced approach to jungling, kiting, area denial, and a quick roam to fights with her ultimate in order to snowball and 1v9 most games. Talon excels at using parkour to move around the map faster than any other jungler, has lethal burst damage, incredible ability to jump into teamfights with the right items to get in and out due to his advanced camouflage on the ultimate, and along with Rek'Sai will be the most difficult to ward against when it comes to ganks. Trundle is a stack check melee champion that also steals the tankiness from enemy tanks. He thrives at using his Q on melee AD champions to remove their AD and take it for himself, as well as providing a pillar that goes where people don't want it to go in slowing enemies, as well as attack speed steroid and a movement speed boost to get him around the map as fast as possible. Twitch jungle, very rarely used now, is very cheesy, likes to use stealth and poison and early level 2 ganks to snowball, struggles to clear, but once he gets going, uses ambushes and extended range to unleash devastating, plague-ridden volleys that destroy enemy comps. Yes, I had to say it that way. Udyr is a fast AP tank damaging thriver who likes to farm as fast as possible and scale into one of the most disruptive tanky fighters in the game. He can also go AD and become an assassin. In both cases, is a dominating split pusher and map controller that's difficult to deal with due to his high movement speed. Vi is one of those Jarvan style champions which provides a little bit of everything, including lockdown ultimate, gap closes on that Q, as well as a juicy shield. Not really an AFK farmer or a strong powerful ganker pre-6, she is a good representation of balanced disruption and fighter control that all junglers should learn. Viego is much like Balveth in the ability to snowball and reset with his ultimate and passive, but looks to play their way in a bit of a space between Kayn as well as Rengar and Kindred, looking to be aggressive but not too aggressive that you fall behind, but given so, any situation in-game with a Viego can become won due to the reset, healing, and of course becoming the enemy champions. Volibear is a very strong farming ganking style fighter tank that can engage and disrupt better than any other champion in the game with his ultimate that deactivates turrets. His sustain and damage over time with the W mechanic essentially mean when he's fed, he is dangerous. Warwick is one of the best map rotators in the game with his W passive that allows him to hunt low health targets. He has a heal on his Q, percentage damage as well, damage reduction on his E, as well as a strong ultimate engage that can lock down any chosen priority target. And when the lower you get and the lower he gets, the more healing and damage he does. Be wary. Wukong essentially is a ganking style jungler using map mobility and clones to leverage some of the most disgusting engages you will see with a double knockup spell. He also has a reset mechanic on his Q, which means when he's in range of you, don't stick around too long because he'll keep bonking you to death. Xin Zhao is another early strong duelist and ganker, looking to snowball games with a powerful ganking kit that includes a gap close, an attack speed steroid, as well as a knockup, an ultimate that challenges single targets to basically guarantee death, but also has long range gap close when you use the W and the E together. Master Yi aims to clean up fights with his high speed as well as high damage, scaling insanely well into the late game. There's arguably no other jungler in the game that scales as well as he does with gold, and then using that for items on his resettable abilities and chase down potential, as well as the Alpha Strike, which allows him to dodge critical spells. Zac is the tank version of Rek'Sai, having insane gap closes for ganks over angles you cannot comprehend, focuses on disrupting enemies with a lot of knockups, and also picking up his goo to heal and never die. The biggest engage in the game comes from this guy flinging his body at your face. Zed is an assassin that's like Talon but a lot weaker in the jungle, farms really quickly as opposed to having strong ganking angles, really focuses on getting 6 fast, quick assassinations with animation cancels on the W mechanic, and obviously using shadow manipulation on the ultimate to make ADCs hate their lives. Zyra combines elements of Karthus and Brand, essentially having a strong farming kit with a strong ganking kit. When she's ahead, she can definitely use her plants to counter jungle and invade you at a high clip, and also controls fights, not only assassination potential, but damage over time using your plants to whittle you down before using another spell to end your life. Now, whether it's the end of Season 13 or Season 14 already, click this video to become a better jungler right now.